design competition. So we actually pause on school for a week, twice a year, and we actually break up the entire school community into teams, and we actually have those teams compete, in a challenge that is posed by an outside partner of ours. So, for example, Verizon or Google we work with, or JP Morgan.
Hi everyone, I'm Monica from Schola. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Schola School Chat video. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our awesome school interviews. Ready to look at some schools? I know I am. Let's jump right into it.
Hi, I'm Lauren with Schola, and I'm here with Principal Noah at Comp Sci High. Thank you so much for having us today.
No, my pleasure, Lauren. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the school and the mission here at Comp Sci High?
Sure. The school is about 4 years old, and we're a standalone charter high school here in the Bronx. And, our mission, if I had to boil it down to a single thing, we are really about not just getting kids to and through college, but we're really about making sure that after kids graduate from college and by the time they turn 25, that they are actually employed in and engaged in a really productive career. And so we sort of like to think about it as we prepare you for the 4 years after high school and the 40 years that come after that.
And it seems like you guys have really unique programs, speaking of work, where some of the students are actually interning and working while going to school?
Yeah, so actually more than some. So we actually built in our program, first of all, Comp Sci High, right? We're a computer science high school. So students take computer science as a core course in addition to, the other traditional core courses, science, math, history, English. And we just think a computing education is it's part of preparation really for any job at this point, and really for any kind of engagement in society is it's like the new literacy, right? The same way that reading was 100 years ago, which was maybe even if every single person didn't know how to do it, if you were going to be employed in a sort of in a lucrative profession, you had to know how to read and write well. Well, I think that's sort of what computing and programming is today. Not everybody's a hacker, not everyone's an expert programmer, but everyone does need to have a basic knowledge of computing. And so that's one thing that's really different about us. I think the other thing is, yes, work-based learning. So we're a work-based learning high school. What that means is, we think that part of a student's high school education really has to be internship experiences. And so 90% of our students participate in summer internship programs. For freshmen, that could be summer youth employment in the city of New York, basic SYEP. We make sure every kid has access to that if they want it. But we also have a significant number of students participating in apprenticeships. We have 26 juniors and seniors apprenticing at Amazon, Ernst & Young, JP Morgan, 20 hours a week. Wow. We have students interning at the Museum of Natural History, doing cybersecurity programs at NYU. And so we just think that experience is going to be crucial to helping kids figure out why it is they're going to school and also what they want to do after they graduate. And just to put a fine point on it, the ratio of students to career counselors in most public universities, like CUNY here in New York, is 1 to 4,000, right? So there's 4,000 kids for every one career counselor. So we think kids need that knowledge and that guidance before they go to college, not during college or at worst after college.
It sounds like you're really setting them up for success when they get to college, knowing that pathway is in front of them.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Amazing. Going from there, what are some of those special features that make the school really unique and different kinds of classes that you offer?
So look, one, I talked about it, computer science. Mm-hmm. So students start in 9th grade and 10th grade with sort of introduction to computer science, and then they can take a basic AP computer science as 10th graders. But then after that, we really split out based on interest because the truth is a lot of kids come here because they're interested in computing. A lot of kids come here for totally different reasons, right? They're looking for a good high school in the Bronx. They're live down the way. And so, we have in 11th grade, students split out and they can do graphic design, they can do software engineering, they can do game design, right? So there's a whole bunch of different ways they can do that computing class. So that's one thing that's really different. I think I talked about the internship program. Mm-hmm. We also do financial literacy, through that work-based learning program that we have. So we teach kids not just the basics of consumer credit, but also wealth building. How do people make money investing in real estate and securities, not through their job, but actually through the way they manage their money. So I think that's quite different. And then in other ways, I think we try to be just a really good school, right? I mean, I think people hear computer science, they hear internships, and they're like, oh, so like, do you have regular classes too? And it's like, yes, we do. We have like, I mean, we have a whole bunch of AP classes. We have AP Lit, AP Language, AP English Language. We have AP Bio, like AP Calculus. Like we have, we try to be a good, small, tight-knit high school, in all the standard ways. And we have an advisory program where every student has an advisor, and they stay with that advisor through all 4 years. It's a little bit like a school uncle to sort of watch out for them as they're here. We do a number of things that I think are just like, that's just what it is to run a good small school, so kids don't get lost. And then we do the work-based learning computer science stuff, which is sort of more unique to just our school.
Yeah, and you were talking about a tight-knit community, and you can really see that with the relationship between the teachers and the students, that everyone's really close and very open and welcoming and warm here as well. Can you speak a little bit more to the relationship with teachers and students and how that grows here?
Yeah, so our teachers, we're 4 years old, and almost every single founding teacher, we had 21 founding staff, and 19 out of that 21 are still here 4 years later. And so, we're really trying to be a sort of consistent community for kids. And, what that means is that like those relationships evolve as kids get older, right? So our seniors have now been with their advisors for 4 years, and like they have this like, they're always like texting, talking, sort of becomes almost another family member. Yeah. The parent also gets to develop that relationship over 4 years. And so, but I think as a general matter, like, we're a community school. We really try to be, constantly sort of cognizant of, focused on our relationships between teachers and kids, because, in my experience, at least as an educator, and I've been a number of things. I've been a principal, middle school and high school principal. I've been a teacher in New York for a long time. I was a lawyer for a little bit, but my experience and I have my own kids, of course. Like my experience tells me, like, honestly, culture and relationships are sort of that foundation. If you don't have that, then it's like very difficult to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And so we really focus a lot on really close, positive relationships with teachers and students, restorative discipline, things like that, so that we build that trust with our kids and families, so that we can do everything else, the internships, the computer science, the sort of college preparatory education.
You mentioned restorative discipline for our parents. Can you explain a little bit what that is? Sure.
I think that term gets thrown around a lot. I think for us, what it means is not that we, I think some schools interpret that as like, no rules. It's like, that is definitely not the case, right? Like the classroom has to be a place that's focused on learning, and so we're really focused on making sure that it is. At the same time, disciplinary process in school should be all about bringing a kid back into school and like pulling them back in to the community and the learning process. And so what does that look like? For example, if a student is disruptive in class, like, do they get to stay in the classroom and just disrupt everyone's learning? No, of course. But like, also we understand that it's very rare that a student is disruptive in class because like they're trying to cause a problem. It's often they're having a hard time, they're having a bad day, they've had bad experiences with school, they're confused, they have low self-confidence. And so we say like, hey, like it's not punitive. It's like, hey, step outside. We have perpetual hallway posts in the hall where we have staff there, just there to check in with kids. And so if a kid is struggling in class, it's like, hey, step outside, check in, process with someone, figure out what's going on. And then when you're actually ready to come back into the classroom and learn, that's when you come back. But it's not about like, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's, at the same time, we also say like, if you miss 15 minutes of class, like you're gonna check in with that teacher at the end of the day, but it's not like detention. It's not sort of punitive. We really avoid suspending unless there is a serious safety issue. And so, we like to make sure that we have really clear disciplinary process and really clear boundaries and a really safe and positive community. But we also want to make sure that when students step out of line, that process is still a learning process, and we're like teaching them how to be better and not just like pushing them away.
No, it sounds like you really speak to the whole, student and communication.
Yeah, we try. I mean, like, it works hard, but like we try.
Can you speak more towards some of those extra kind of classes? I know we saw debate club and gaming.
Sure. So we have an electives program. So during the school day, kids can choose from fitness and athletics, music, visual art, dance, theater. And that's just sort of part of there, and they get to sort of rotate between them by choice. But then we also have clubs after school, so debate club, robotics club, which now is focused on drones. We have drumline and band. We have, let's see, what other clubs? We have a fitness club, so kids just like work out. One of our teachers just like works out with a whole group of kids after school in the gym space over here. What other clubs? And then of course we have sports programs. We have campus sports, because we're on a campus with other high schools, so they can participate in PSAL varsity sports. And then we also have our own charter school athletic league sports teams. Basketball, track, volleyball, etc. So sort of a range of activities. We also have a literary magazine, that publishes student poetry, and that's increasingly student run. So we're trying to make that happen too.
And then is Comp Sci High involved in any like outside competitions?
Well, yes, in a number of ways, but one thing we do as an entire school community twice a year is we do something called design competition. So we actually pause on school for a week twice a year, and we actually break up the entire school community into teams, and we actually have those teams compete in a challenge that is posed by an outside partner of ours. So for example, Verizon or Google we work with, or JP Morgan, or a bunch of venture capital firms, and we basically say like we have them come in on the first day and say, hey, like design. For example, we had one that was design a hypertext game. So you had to design like a game that would teach kids about financial literacy. And then the kids get workshops with some professionals, they get workshops with our teachers, they work in teams of 4, they develop project management skills, they use them with the digital skills, and they basically, so in that example, we had, that was 9th and 10th grade, we just had 2 grades, we had roughly 50 teams of 4 build these hypertext games, and they learned about consumer credit and credit cards and loans and predatory lending. And then they build these games for teens to like teach them about these things using this hypertext tool. And then we actually went out to, in that case we were working with a number of organizations, but we were working with a couple financial firms. We went out to Morgan Stanley, and we had the kids present in the finals, like the top 4 teams school-wide, with the entire school community there, presenting to real professionals, in the field. And, usually like the top teams are really doing like some amazing stuff. And so it's actually like, it's a cool opportunity. And we do it frankly because it mirrors what real work is like. And we find that in interviews for internships, our kids most often talk about those experiences when they are talking about learning experiences, or when they've overcome a challenge or something like that. And so that's one really cool thing we do in terms of outside competition and engaging with the outside world. Then of course our sports teams, our debate team, our robotics teams engage in all kinds of outside competition as well.
It's really incredible to give them that real life experience of designing, project managing, and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like frankly probably what most of school should be like now, but isn't.
A lot of opportunities for students.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Can you speak a little bit, we were talking a little bit about community, about the community here, and kind of what the relationship is with the school and the community that surrounds the school?
So yeah, we really try, we have a great relationship with the Bronx River Community Center, which is just over here behind us. And then, we really try to be engaged in the larger community, and that's something that we're really trying to ramp up in the next year or two. But we have a good relationship with the other schools in our building. We have a tight-knit parent community, and most of the kids we serve live, in the Bronx, South Bronx, Southeast Bronx, and so we have those relationships. Now, we'll say, like, it is sometimes, just given how busy our students are, how many clubs we have, and how many things we have, like, hard to find opportunities to engage with the sort of larger community on a regular basis. That said, like through our internship program, a lot of our students are working at Rock in the Boat, which is a Bronx org just down the way, at Justice Works, which is like a youth justice organization here in the Bronx. We have students working at the Bronx Borough President's office. We have students working, in a number of the local summer camps. We have students working in the Beacon program here in this building as summer camp counselors. So we have a pretty robust student engagement in the community just through our internship program.
I saw on the wall some of the core values for the school. Can you speak to the core values here?
Sure. So core values are really about the values we want to instill and develop in students as they go through the 4 years here. So they spell SCORE, so self-awareness, consistency, ownership of self and community, resilience and excellence, and so the idea there is like each of those things are things we think are correlated with like success in the world beyond school. Like it is important to be aware of yourself and to sort of gain a certain amount of emotional and social development while you're in high school. It's important to be consistent, and that is something that most high school students do not come in with, right? Like ninth graders are not consistent human beings, but we know that at the adult level, like adults that are dependable, frankly, are more successful in their personal lives and their professional lives. Ownership of the community, we want to really develop that sense of like voice in our students and students. We want our students to feel like this is their school and not like, oh, this is y'all's school. Like it's
ownership.
like, no, it's not my school, it's your school. Like I'm the principal, sometimes they come in ninth grade, they're like, oh, Mr. Like you own the school. Like, I don't own the school. This is ours together. Resilience, obviously our students often come having overcome a lot already, but like frankly the ability to overcome obstacles pretty important, particularly for our kids. And then the idea of excellence, that's almost in every core values of any school, right? It's like obviously we want our students to aspire to be great. We want our community to be great. Like we're not satisfied with just being okay, and like we're pretty competitive as a school. So
it's really wonderful. And for families who aren't aware of Comp Sci High, where would you describe the location of the school or any landmarks around here?
Sure. So we're on the Elder Avenue stop on the 6 train. We're in the Soundview community, just right off Westchester Ave. And so we're sort of in the Southeast Bronx. If you don't know the Bronx geography as well, I guess I'd say we're just east of Hunts Point.
Okay.
Most people sort of know where Hunts Point is, I think.
And then is there a website that families can visit as well?
compscihigh.org. And so our application is there. We're charter school, so it's actually just a one-page application, and it's by lottery with a preference for families who live in Community District 12 in New York City. So sort of in the surrounding community, but yep, compscihigh.org.
And speaking, it's a charter school, so there's tuition free for families?
Yeah, of course, it's a public school, right? So just like any other public school, it's tuition free. And we actually, we provide every student with a Chromebook, and then as they get older, a full-on laptop. We provide any family, we do have uniforms, but any family who can't afford or struggling to afford the uniforms, we just provide it all for free. And so it's tuition free, cost free, in every way, certainly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
No, my pleasure.
If you want to have more information, you can also find Comp Sci High on their Schola profile at schola.com. Thank you so much, Principal Noah.
My pleasure.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's Schola School Chat video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you would like to watch more of our awesome videos, make sure to click here. And to stay up to date with all the awesome videos we post and subscribe to our channel, make sure to click here. See you on the next one.